Hi, this is a brief tutorial in how to create Stepworks with music. Stepworks are rhythmic stories you can play, create, and share. And if you go to the Stepworks website at step.works, you can perform some stories that have already been created. You can create your own. And today we're going to look at how to add music to your stories. So to get started, let's click on Stages. Stages determine what your story is going to look like and what your story is going to sound like when you perform it. Stepworks currently has 4 stages. There's more to come. I'm going to pick a simple one called Layer Cake. And if I start clicking or tapping, you'll see the lines from just a default script. This is the Who's On First dialogue from Abbott and Costello. That's just the default content here. But if I want to create my own content, I can click the Options button, choose from this menu, Load from Google Sheets. This is how we can bring our own content into Stepworks. And the great thing about it is once you've loaded it into a Stepworks stage, you can copy the URL, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter, and it will carry your story with it. Even if you make updates to that story in the Google spreadsheet, those updates will be reflected in that link without you having to send it out again. So I've got a blank spreadsheet set up here. And I'm going to start creating. What I want to do here as our demo is I'm going to do Mary Had a Little Lamb. So we're going to show the words and we're going to play the notes at the same time. So the way the Google Spreadsheets integration works is each column stands for a character and each row stands for a step. So I'm going to start by creating a new character. I'm just going to call it Narrator. And I'm just going to start typing the syllables of Mary Had a Little Lamb in here. So Mary. And I use an ampersand here because if I don't use an ampersand, every step will replace the previous step when it's shown on the screen. I don't want that to happen. I want the syllables to be added on to the previous ones. So I use the ampersand there for that step. And now I'm going to use ampersand space because there's a space between the words, and had space a space little space lamb, period. Okay, now all I need to do to bring this into Stepworks is go to File, hit Publish to the Web, click the Publish button, copy that URL, and now when I pick Load from Google Sheets, I paste the URL in here, it loads the story, and now if I press a key or click, it starts performing the story. Great. Okay, so now let's add the music to it. We want to have the notes match up with the syllables as we perform them. So the cool thing is that music is just another character. Really, it's the musical instrument that is speaking notes. So all I have to do here to add the music is add a new character called piano and just start typing the notes. So I know that it is E4, D4, C4. These are just standard MIDI note names. D4, E4. It's the note name and the octave. Okay, so this should go da 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 da. And one last detail I need to add. Remember, when I put the words in here for the narrator, it showed those words on the screen. I don't want that to happen for these note names. I don't want them to be displayed, but I still do want them to be processed. So I just add a special keyword here. I add dash hidden. And that means that character's dialogue, or notes in this case, won't be shown on the screen, but they'll still be handled by Stepworks. All right, so let's go and reload here and see what we get. Perfect. Got a nice sampled piano sound loading here. All right, so now that we've got our story working, we've got some music, let's try it in some of the other stages on Stepworks. So I'm going to hit Options, and I'm going to pick Change Stage, and let's just pick a different one, Impact Printer. Now if I perform it, we've got a different sound. And that's because different Stepworks stages have different sound capabilities built into them. That Layer Cake stage has a sampled piano built into it. The other ones use synthesized sounds instead, and it just maps that sound to whatever's available on the current stage. And you notice because I've picked a different stage, I've got a different look and feel for my story. Let's try some of the other ones. Let's try Slab Text Sign. Again, different look and feel. Let's try Vocal Grid. Okay, different look and feel for each of these stages. All right, so let's add a few more instruments here. Let's say I want to add some drums. Well, there's a few drum sounds built in, so I'm going to use the kick And I'm also going to make it hidden. And let's say I want to hear that kick drum on the meh, the first syllable of Mary, and on the first syllable of little. All right, so now let me reload. Hopefully you can hear it. We've got that kick drum. Now, maybe I want that to be a little bit louder, so I do have some options to add some dynamics here. So I can do ampersand FF for fortissimo, just like the musical notation. We support fortissimo, forte, piano, and pianissimo with the typical abbreviations you'd expect. And so let me now reload. Now it's louder. Okay, now let's add a snare drum here. So I'm just going to add a snare. I'm also going to make it hidden. And let's put the snare here and here so we get a nice beat going. Let me reload. Okay, so we've got multiple instruments going on in our little musical interlude here. And we've got one instrument we've changed its dynamics by using the @ sign and then FF or F or P or PP. And we've got another instrument going on here. Now let's embellish the melody a little bit here. Let's say on this last E note, we want to also add another E that's 1 octave up and delayed a little bit, and another E that's 2 octaves up, whoops, and delayed a little bit more. So you notice a few different things going on here. One, I'm using Option Return, I'm on a Mac, to add a new line inside this cell. Multiple lines inside a single cell, they all get triggered at the same time as if they were one step. But I'm also adding another little bit of syntax to cause a delay in some of these other notes that are being triggered. So I've got +1, that means delay by 1 beat, and +2, which means delay that note by 2 beats. So we should be hearing these E notes, one at octave 4, one at octave 5, one at octave 6, but offset from each other in time. They'll all be triggered at the same moment, but they won't actually all play at the same time because of these delays. Now, when we start using delays, we have to let Stepworks know how long those delays are. And so we can use a special character called pulse. Now, nothing in the pulse character will actually be seen, but it uses the data there to determine how long the beats are, what the overall tempo of the piece is. So I've typed 120 in here to indicate that it's 120 beats per minute. And I'm going to type a 4, a slash, and a 4 to indicate that I want those beats to be divided into 4 subdivisions. And that's going to be what 1 is equal to in these delays here. So if I do a +1 or a +2, that's going to be based upon this tempo. So let's go ahead and reload the story and see what we get. Okay, so on Lamb, I only pressed the key once, but it triggered 2 additional notes on a delay, just like the script said that it should. So let's just go nuts and use this embellishment through the whole melody. So all our E notes will get those extra notes. We'll also do the same thing for our D notes. So we'll do D5 +1, D6 +2. I'm going to copy and paste that here. We're going to do C4, C5 +1, and C6 +2. Let's reload. Here we go. Let's see how this sounds in our actual sampled piano. So I'm going to change the stage back to layer cake because that's the one that has the piano in it. And let's try it. That's a little nicer. Okay, so one final note here about instrument names. I picked piano, and piano is going to be supported in all the Stepworks stages. But how do you know what other instruments might be supported? Well, I've based the instrument support on the General MIDI sound set. So if you do a search for General MIDI sound set, this is a standard for naming instruments in synthesizers. So you'll see that there's family names listed, there's instrument names listed, and any one of these instrument names you can use in Stepworks and it will be mapped to something. It might not be exactly the instrument that's listed here, but it will be mapped to something. So you can be confident that if you use these instrument names, your scripts will be able to play music in any other stage on Stepworks. And the one caveat you've got to take into account when you're using these is you need to remove all the spaces and remove all the special characters. So as an example, let's do this one, acoustic guitar nylon. How would that work? How would we be able to use that sound in a Stepwork? Well, let's do it here. So acoustic, I'm removing the spaces, so it's just guitar nylon. Basically all one word without any parentheses or spaces. Now if I reload, we'll hear that synthesized guitar sound. Okay, so those are the basics of adding music to your Stepworks stories. Let me know if you've got any questions or comments. Subscribe for more tutorials and videos about Stepworks, and let me know what you're interested in seeing. Thanks.